Did you know that in a grid down scenario, millions of people will die within the first 60 days? I don't want you to be one of them. Let's take a look at how you can avoid being a casualty and that you can be prepared for no matter what happens. Building a proper food storage system can put you ahead of the population and give you an advantage over most people who haven't planned and created a system of self-sufficiency and sustainability. My prayer every day is that we don't ever see a collapse like that, and that all of the food that I have stored just continues to cycle through and I never have to rely on it as my only means of sustainability. But the reality is that our food systems are fragile. Here in the state of Georgia, we've just had a confirmed case of the bird flu, and they've begun to shutter some of the poultry operations here within a 10-mile radius of that one test. They've quarantined those farms. They've also stopped the sale of any birds in flea markets or swap meets or anywhere like that. So we can see the vulnerability of our fragile systems that we count on here as Americans. The importance of stockpiling food and having a food rotation system is of utmost importance, and it's one that can't be exaggerated. It can't be talked about enough. When you have food on hand, you have the peace of mind of knowing that your family's taken care of, and that in a time of crisis, you don't have to worry. Even if it's not an SHTF event, even if the world's not coming to an end, if you just lose your job, or there's a death in the family, or there's a natural disaster or social unrest, that you're prepared. Right there in the confines of your home, you don't have to venture out into the unpredictability of what's happening around you, but your family is safe and taken care of right there where they are. Building a stockpile of long-term shelf-stable food is just like having a spare tire for your car. It's a spare tire for your nutritional life. When you're building that supply, focus on foods like rice, beans, canned goods, things that have a long shelf life. Properly stored, dried goods can last 2 decades or more. Canned goods are good for 5 to 7, even up to 10 years. And don't get fooled by those dates. Those are not expiration dates on those cans. Those are best by dates. It's a guarantee that by that date, that food that went into that can is going to have the same taste and the same texture as the day that it went in. That's not the day it expires. It doesn't magically deteriorate on that day. There's been cases where canned food has been consumed 20 years after that best by date, and it's still completely safe. It may not taste the same, it may not have the same texture, but it's completely safe to consume. These foods are readily available and easy to acquire. You can build the addition of these foods into your budget, and it can be relatively low cost adding these supplies into your pantry. High-calorie food additions like peanut butter, like nuts, and different fat sources are smart additions to every prepper pantry and things that you need to focus on. High caloric density is of utmost importance, and getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to calories is something that every person should focus on, because we're all constrained by some level of budget. Rice, beans, those things are cheap additions and they give you a lot of calories. As a matter of fact, each one of those comes in at roughly 1,600 calories per pound, as well as flour, pasta, and all of those dried goods. If genetically modified food is not a deal breaker for you, here's a little pro tip. The same corn that you buy in a feed store is just as edible as any other corn after it's been nixtamalized and that outer husk removed, and then it becomes completely digestible by humans. It's the process that goes on in Native American cultures and throughout South America regularly by mixing potash and soaking the corn to remove that husk. As you begin to add these foods into your food storage pantry, it's important that you get an organizational system that you know what you have by taking a regular inventory and creating a rotation plan that works on the principle of first in, first out, so that you don't want to just put the new cans in front of the old cans. You don't want to put the new dried goods in front of the old dried goods. You want to have a rotation system so that those newer cans go in the back, so that you're always eating the thing that's been there the longest, keeping that pantry restored and refreshed as you go. And it creates margin on the back end of your food storage system. If food shortages happen, and God forbid they don't, but if they do, by practicing recipes now that can extend those things that we like the most, adding rice to our soup bases and making beans a regular staple and experimenting with those different recipes for beans to make them taste more delicious, and adding creativity to those staples can stretch our foods longer when we're facing those shortages that we may possibly face. But as you build your food storage system, don't just stop with food storage. Try to introduce food production as well. There's some easy ways for you to add food right there, even inside your home or your apartment. You can grow microgreens or sprout seeds right there on your kitchen counter. You can grow some of your own vegetables even if all you have is a little patio out back. Place some containers and grow some tomatoes or some beans or some squash. Building a lifestyle of sustainability is very important, and it's what makes preppers the most effective. It's not just a set it and forget it system, but it is a lifestyle that we live, and we get better and better as we refine the skills needed to live self-sustainable. By creating a food storage system, you're going to have the peace of mind that only preparedness can bring. Knowing that your family's taken care of no matter what happens, that your children are always going to have something to eat, will bring you a peace of mind that when you face difficulties and things get just a little bit scary, you can rely on the fact that you have adequate nutrition for your children and your family to be sustained over a length of time. If you're interested in digging deeper into food storage, check the description where there's a link to my resource, The Essential Guide to Food Storage. It will give you a step-by-step process for you to start building your prepper pantry so that you're ready for anything. It's an investment that won't only bring peace of mind, but also make you prepared for whatever life might throw at you. And until next time, remember that we're all just growing and learning.